Credible Crypto here with a new video update. This is going to be a mini market update on Bitcoin, Link, Solana. We'll talk about the meme coins. We'll talk about with PEPE. Basically everything that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. This is going to be kind of a summary to talk about where we're at with all those positions, as well as an attempt to try and make clear what expectations are here in the coming days now that Bitcoin has hit what I believe to be a very significant level. So I've been tweeting a lot, haven't posted a video in a bit, so I thought I'd just make a video to make it very clear about all these different coins because there's a lot going on here. And I understand sometimes it may be a little bit difficult to keep up, and I think these videos are the best way to get the information across. If you agree, please like and subscribe and share this video. Let's just jump right into it, guys. First off, as we start the video, just want to highlight that I've been doing these weekly giveaways for $1,000 cash for people that have signed up to exchanges using my ref link. I just announced 3 winners yesterday. No one has claimed the cash rewards here. It's $1,000 cash for 3 of these winners. If you have signed up to Bybit using my ref link at any point in time, there's a chance that you have $1,000 waiting for you. If your user ID ends in any of the 4 digits listed here, 3844, 4182, 4107, again, those are the ending digits of the user IDs. Please reach out to me. You can either comment on the tweet there or you can shoot me a DM. I will obviously verify. I have a way of verifying whoever's commenting and reaching out to me to make sure that they are the actual user ID listed here and that they're the actual winner. So scammers don't bother. But if this is you, if you have a user ID ending in any of these 4 digits, reach out to me. I'm going to send you $1,000. There's not much else to it. So with that being said and that out of the way, let's jump into the charts, guys. We're going to start with Bitcoin to kind of set the stage, and then we will go on to some of the altcoins that I've been talking about. This is the Bitcoin chart. And as you can see, we have finally hit the main resistance on this chart that I've been talking about for weeks now. Back down when we were here at these lows, we were looking for a move down. So as far as, lower time frame updates go, we were looking for one kind of final shove down, ideally into this blue zone here before reversal back to the upside. And we didn't quite get to that blue zone. It's now green on this chart here, but we came down a little bit and then we saw the leg to the upside. So this is exactly where we expected to see some resistance. So the fact that we're seeing resistance should not surprise anyone. This is the area where if we're going to get a major move back to the downside, it should happen from this main resistance. And 62.3 to 62.3K is the first kind of area of interest for potential bounce, right? And if this area is lost, then we come down to the green zone, which is the ideal target. But Bitcoin is now at resistance. And I've been saying for literally weeks now, maybe even months, that this is the main resistance and I will be looking for shorts when we get here. So that's exactly what I'm doing, simply following the plan that I put in place weeks ago, because that's exactly what the plan was. Now we're starting to short some of these altcoins, right? Let's talk about some of these altcoins and some of the charts that I've shared recently for them so you can see where my perspective is on them, and then we can go from there. So many of you know I recently shorted Solana and I recently shorted Link. The plan was to short coins like Doge, PEPE, WIF as well. And I tweeted that the only reason I didn't short Doge and WIF yet was because they hadn't reached my areas of interest for shorting, right? Link and Solana hit my areas of interest for shorting, and Doge and WIF, frankly, were too weak to get there yet, okay? They may reach those zones in the future where I'm still interested in shorting, but if they don't, then I don't short. It's quite simple. The areas of interest that I've chosen to short are the areas where I think you have the best risk to reward for betting on further downside. If these coins don't get to those levels, then the risk to reward isn't ideal for shorts, for me personally, based on my strategy, and therefore I won't take the shorts. So that's all it is. It has nothing to do with which coin I like more, which coin I like less, right? Obviously, I would love to short Doge. That's my favorite coin to short because the chart is so clean to me. But until Doge gets to a point where it makes sense to short, I'm not interested. And I shared that in my meme apocalypse video. So we'll take a look at Doge first. And you can see here that my area of interest to short, the short zone, this is from that video that I made, has not been hit. And people are like, you said we're going to 10 cents or 5 cents. You were wrong. We haven't even hit the short zone, guys. So I stand by everything that I said in that video. And if and when we hit 18 cents, I would love to short Doge here. But until we get there, I can't short in the middle of this range. I only want to take that short at these highs because the risk to reward here is ideal for shorts. Down here, it's certainly possible that we move up from here. And if I happen to be wrong about this short zone and we break out, then I will be underwater by 30% by the time we break out versus entering short here and then maybe needing to readjust if we manage to break out with minimal losses, right? So this is where I want to short Doge, not below. And looking at Doge here, it is sitting in the middle of this range, and I'm just hoping that we can get a push up to the short zone. If we can get this push up, then I will short. There's a lot of possibilities going on. To me, at the end of the day, until we get to the short zone, I'm not interested in shorting. In the meantime, we could see so many things play out, right? If Bitcoin pulls back, maybe Doge comes down here, then goes up to the short zone. Maybe Doge comes down here to this range low in the blue zone and then goes up to the short zone. Maybe Doge goes up to the short zone now. This assumes no Bitcoin pullback in the immediate short to midterm. The point being that all three of these are viable scenarios, and I don't know which one's going to happen. All I know is that if and when we get to this zone, I want to short. And that is the approach that I'm taking with a lot of these alts. So if you see me shorting something, it's not because I hate that coin. This isn't an emotional decision. It's because that coin has hit an area of interest where I think risk to reward for shorts is favorable. That is it. So this is Doge, guys, and my plan still stands from the Meme Poplix video. I still want to short Doge in my short zone if and when it gets there. So this is WIF. This is my short zone for WIF. We've broken down from this lower level, but I want to make clear that we still have a lot of downside liquidity, right? We consolidated here for days. We broke down, okay? There is a chance, and this is why I'm not short on WIF yet, because we haven't hit my short zone. And there is a chance that this breakdown is a little bit of a fake out after this consolidation, and that we might go back up, reclaim this, and squeeze to take all these untapped highs. If that happens, we're going to get a push up. Ideally, we get to around 380, 390, right? This is where my short zone is. And at that point, I'll be interested in shorting WIF. And I think what's obviously going to happen is if we do this sort of reversal here after breaking down, you're going to get a lot of people that come out of the shadows again and start talking smack because we've now reversed this little drop. And to me, this is all noise. What's happening here is all noise. I don't care if we go up, down, or sideways because I'm only interested in shorting up here. And ultimately, whether we get up here or not, I think we're going to go lower. And for me, again, if I don't catch the short on WIF here, I've taken shorts on other positions and other coins that have hit my areas of interest. Again, risk reward for shorting down here, to me, was not worth it because there was a chance that we could push up to take these highs first before coming down. So I'm not going to short at a place where I think we can push significantly higher before we actually come down. If we get to this extreme area at these highs, that's where I'm interested in shorting. I think both of these are headed much lower, whether or not we get the ideal short entry first. Let's take a look at the coins that I did short, Solana and Link. You can see here we have a similar range drawn out to what I had with WIF earlier. Solana, I think, as I mentioned in the tweet, has room for 5 to 10% more to the upside. So I started scaling in on the Solana short. And the idea with Solana, very similar to what I'm looking for on Doge here. I'll move back above these highs. This would have been the ideal entry for my short. And then rejection, and then a move all the way back down to the range lows, okay? So again, range lows being at 115, we're at 170 right now. That is about a 35% move at the bare minimum, similar to what I'm expecting on some of these meme coins. But that's the bare minimum target I have for Solana, and we can certainly go lower. I'm not shorting coins based on what I dislike or like from an emotional perspective. It's simply based on what charts offer me the opportunity to get into a low risk, high reward short position. And the Solana Bitcoin chart is very clean right now. And you can see Solana Bitcoin also hitting this area of resistance that I'd marked off. So we have confluence of both the Bitcoin and the USD pairings hitting key area of resistance. If I zoom out a little bit, what you can see here is on Solana, we had a local high. You have a SFP or a fake out above that high and a rejection and a breakdown. And now you're looking to short that place where we broke down from. So imagine this was a Solana USD chart. The idea is I'm shorting this retest. And there's confluence on both the Solana USD charts and the Solana Bitcoin charts, which is why I'm shorting it. And that's a 30 to 40% move down with a low risk to reward entry, which is why I took it. Let's take a look here at Link next. So here is Link. And again, same idea as Solana. We have a point of breakdown. We have a little range established. We have untapped lows on the range lows. We are now pushing above the range highs, and we're pushing into an area of resistance. So again, you have two ways of approaching this. You either short into this area of resistance, or you wait for some sort of shift in structure and a fallback inside this range to short. Now, obviously, if you short aggressively, you're betting on a rejection here before it's happened. That could yield a higher reward because you're shorting at the absolute top, potentially. Arguably, depending on how you look at it, higher risk because you're not waiting for confirmation of a rejection before shorting, right? There's many ways to approach this, some more conservative, some more aggressive. But the thing with Link as well is that it's been almost a year of up only, and we're now seeing a pullback. It's been 10 months of essentially an impulse to the upside, followed by 2 months of a correction. Corrections typically last longer relative to the impulse that they follow. So expecting further downside here, especially with these untapped lows and a rejection at the point of breakdown, very normal to expect. And I want to show you guys something else because, as you know, I use data to back a lot of these ideas. Let's take a look at Link on Velo Data. Velo Data can be found in my bio, and I've shared a YouTube video on how to set it up, as well as how to interpret the metrics that I look at. But let's take a look at Link, guys. This is one of the reasons why I was so confident in the Link short. We have a massive, massive rise on open interest on this push to the upside. What does that tell me? That means a bunch of levered players jumped in on this position. You can see here that funding is positive, so this wasn't skewed towards shorters specifically. This is just a bunch of levered longs and some shorts opening into this pump into major resistance. Look at that rise in open interest. We haven't seen anything like that in a long time. The idea being that if Bitcoin pulls back and we start bleeding down, guess what's going to happen? These guys that opened up long into this pump are going to have to start closing. Where do they capitulate? At the lows. And so by the time we get there, we're back to the range lows. What does that look like on the chart? That looks like a move back down to $11.96, which from current levels is 30% or 27% move to the downside. So basically, with Link having hit this area, the most likely place for rejection, I've opened a short. If we were to compare this to like Doge, Doge is sitting right here. That's why I'm not shorting it. Why do I want to short Doge when it's in the middle of the range when I have a very clean short on Link at the range highs at resistance with a potential 30% move down to catch? With, same idea. I like it to recover more before I short it, right? So let's take a look at PEPE, because this is actually a very interesting one. So PEPE is one that I've said for some time now, I think is in a major distribution phase right here. And I've compared it to what Bitcoin looked like at 65K. Let's take a quick look at that. So here's the PEPE chart, comparing PEPE to Bitcoin back at 65K. I said PEPE is one of the few major meme coins that looks like it could make new highs before it's ready to see that collapse. And this was a chart that I shared following that, where I basically outlined how it looked very similar to Bitcoin at 69K, looking for a move to the highs and then a rejection and then a markdown to start. Looking at the PEPE chart now, we've hit the highs, exactly like what I said was most likely. People getting super bullish on PEPE here at the highs. I think this is just going to be a rejection, a deviation, and then we're going to melt down. And with PEPE, because it's from these highs here, the meltdown should be at least 60 to 70%, very significant. But the reason why I'm not short PEPE yet, people have been asking me, are you short PEPE? We hit the range highs. Did you short it? Because I think that there's a chance that we can come back up off of this green zone, which is local demand or support, for one more swing at these highs before coming down. So if I were to short PEPE down here, knowing that we could go back up to these highs, by the time we get to these highs, I would already be underwater by 20%. I can't place a stop loss here if I think that we're going to take the highs and dump. So I have to hold here, and I'd be underwater 20%. And if I'm wrong about this idea, and Bitcoin breaks out, for example, and heads to 100K from here, and PEPE continues up, then before you know it, I'll be down 30% or 40%. And at what point do I exit if I can't exit here because this is a possibility? At what point do I cut my losses? Down 40%? I don't think I'm interested in that, right? So again, for PEPE, the reason why I didn't short is because I missed the short at the highs. I didn't have orders set because I wanted to see the reaction, and I'm not interested in shorting at these levels because if I'm right about a potential bounce to the highs and the rejection from the higher highs, then I would be underwater by 20% by the time we get here, and that is not a position that I want to put myself in. And so PEPE, what I'm looking for now is if we get something like this, I'm interested in shorting this, right? If we can move back above the highs, if we can move up from where we are about 20% higher back to these highs, I will look for shorts. This is all relative to the giant range we're in. So if we do make new highs, you're going to get a lot of people on crypto Twitter talking about how PEPE is ready to continue on for another 2x, 3x, 4x from current levels because, hey, look, we've made new highs. It's showing so much strength. Keep this in mind. What looks like strength could simply be a fake out to the upside before a big dump. Look at the structure that I have here. We took the highs of the range. We've now pushed back into support. If we make another higher high here, this looks exactly like Bitcoin did at 69K. We took the highs of the range, hit support, made a higher high, and then dumped. So don't get fooled by something like this. Don't get overly bullish on this potential breakout. As always, guys, nothing in this video is financial advice. Nothing that I say is instructions for you to do anything, guys. You need to do your own research. This is all being shared to hopefully educate you guys so you can identify these things on your own and make your own decisions. I'm not telling you to do anything. I could be right, I could be wrong. Obviously, I believe I'm right. I'm not always right. But I'm showing you guys the rationale and the logic behind my expectations so that you understand where I'm coming from. And that's all there is to it. You can agree or disagree with me. As long as you're respectful, I welcome opposing ideas. With that being said, guys, let's go back to Bitcoin now that we've covered most of the alts that I've been referring to over the last few weeks. So again, you guys will recall my last mini market update. I basically said that as we approach this area of resistance, two things that we're looking for off the lows. If we see these two things, then we might be headed through this region to 100K plus. If we don't see these two things, then this is a corrective move and we're likely headed back down. What were those two things? Number one, an impulsive move off of the lows. And number two, a lack of a ramp up in OI as we push into this zone. Number one, the impulsive movement. I don't think that we have that here. I don't see impulsive movement. Like an argument can be made that we have a leading diagonal here, which is like a unique case of an impulsive movement. that looks like a megaphone almost. An argument can be made that that's our first impulse right here. This was our wave 2, this was our wave 3. We're getting a wave 4 and a wave 5. What that would look like is something like this. Okay, to complete a first impulse off the lows. That argument can be made. I will give that some credibility, some credence. I think that that's viable, okay? The other thing that we're looking for is a lack of a ramp up in OI, and that we do not have. So let's go back to Velo data and take a look at our OI. And you can see here that all we've done is literally ramped OI right back to where it was before our last major flush. And I've said in my last video, you can go back and watch it. I said the one thing that we cannot do is start ramping up OI back to the area that we broke down from by the time we get to our major resistance. If we get back to our major resistance and open interest is just as high as it was when we broke down, we've achieved nothing. At that point, it's just as likely that we see another flush, just like what we saw here, if we hit the same level with the same level of open interest that we broke down from. This opens the doors to a flush like we saw here. This flush went from 71 to 59. That's a $10,000 move to the downside. From where we are now at 66K, that puts us at 56K, or basically new local lows. This is not the way in which we want to move up. It's not healthy. That doesn't mean that it's impossible that we break out. That doesn't mean that there's no way that we can get through. It simply means that it's not ideal the way that we've moved up to this major area of resistance. Because everything that I said to look for as you push into resistance to make you cautious has occurred. I'm cautious right now. I'm not super bullish as we push up into major resistance with a ramp up in OI back to the levels that we were at before we broke down from it. It's that simple. So as PA develops, we'll get a better idea of what might be going on. Maybe we're getting that impulse, and if we get that first impulse, then we should see something like this. Probably still rejecting the main resistance, but maybe make it up to this little cluster here, which is like the main cluster that we broke down from, and then reject. And in the best of worlds, we complete what could be an impulse here. We come back down for a three-legged move to the downside. We base out, and then we see another impulse. And in this time, ideally, open interest gets washed completely. Open interest is flat, and we rise without that open interest, and we break through. That's your most bullish scenario right now. Even if we get something like this, your argument can still be made. You have a corrective wave, and you have an ABC to the upside. Don't worry too much about that right now, because a lot has to happen for us to be in that position where we need to worry about that scenario. But for now, just know that as it stands, we have to be cautious into resistance, especially with alts looking the way that they do. All the metrics that I said we need to watch out for are showing us potential warning signs. Like, this isn't ideal. It's that simple. So if Bitcoin pulls back to here, or if Bitcoin pulls back to here, those alts that I shorted, those are going to take much bigger hits than Bitcoin. So you take something like Solana. Solana probably pulls back to these range lows. That's a 32% move to the downside. What about Link? Probably pulls back to its range lows. That's a 30% move to the downside. Now, ideally, like on something like Doge, where we haven't gotten to my short zone, my hope is that Doge will show strength on a pullback here, like Bitcoin, put in a higher low here, and then ramp up to my short zone, get everyone bullish, and then I short it all the way back down below all these lows to sub 10 cents. This is ideal for something like Doge, where it's not showing as much strength right now, but it may not show as much weakness on the downside either, because we've established that we have taken the lows of the range already. On Solana, on Link, we haven't taken these lows. On Doge, we have. So for Doge, something like this is ideal. Really quickly, Doge Bitcoin, to show you guys how it's different from Solana Bitcoin and Link Bitcoin. This is my Doge Bitcoin chart that I've been personally marking up for some time now. This is the ideal resistance for Doge Bitcoin. We're actually at support right now. You compare that to Solana Bitcoin, or you compare that to Link Bitcoin, and they look significantly different. Solana Bitcoin up here against resistance. Most likely place for us to get rejected. You can kind of further isolate this to the smaller cluster right here. We're up against major resistance on Solana against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin pulls back and this pairing falls, that means Solana USD is falling harder than Bitcoin. Doge, on the other hand, is at major resistance, significant resistance, where we typically expect to bounce from on its Bitcoin pairing. That means on a Bitcoin pullback, Doge might actually do better. When Doge Bitcoin gets to the short zone on the Bitcoin pairing, and if it's also in the short zone on the USD pairing, that is the confluence you were looking for a low risk, high reward short opportunity. And that's what I do. That's what I look for. So if you can understand the relationship between Bitcoin pairings and USD pairings, you have an edge. If you guys watch this video from beginning to end, you should have a very, very clear idea of how I position myself in these markets. It should not be unclear. It should not be uncertain. You should understand exactly why I do what I do with the confidence that I do it, because I'm looking at all these things that you may not see on Twitter. So I hope that makes sense, guys. That's it for this video update, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please like and share. That's all I ask for. A like and a share, maybe a comment if you really enjoyed it. Keeps me motivated to keep making these videos, guys. I will catch you in the next one.